Hey Stitches, your girl Kris here. Welcome or welcome back to the channel on social. If this is the first time that you're joining me here, I'm hoping that you will enjoy it and that you will consider sticking around by subscribing to my channel. Now for today's video, I am spilling all the tea on Simplicity 3010, which is one of Mimi G's newest patterns. Now, 3010 comes in three different views. View A is a slouchy cardigan, View B is a racerback tank top, and then View C is a mini length skirt with a side split. And I have sewn up views B and C. Listen, you guys. I do not know what has gotten into me by making myself a crop top. I don't think I have a crop top body. But in any event, I thought that the pattern was really cute. And after I had made up the skirt, I had enough fabric left over to make the tank top. And I just thought, what the heck, let me just go for it. And go for it I did. I can tell you right now that I am pleasantly surprised with how sexy I feel in this outfit. Even with the flash of skin at the midsection that is on display. Now, 3010 is designed only for knit fabrics, and you know your girl, if you have been here before, is not a knit girly, but I have been experimenting a little bit more this year with sewing knit fabrics, and I really just want to go ahead and tap myself on the back because this one turned out so neat. But before I give you too much details about the fabric and whatnot, let us talk about the sizing and the fit adjustments. Now for the sizing, I bought the PDF copy of this pattern in the size 18 to, I want to say it's 26. I hope that that is not incorrect. If it is, then I'll put the correction here on the screen. There is a second envelope which is from, I think it is a 6 to a 16. And in hindsight, I probably would have been better off if I bought that pattern. Now, usually when I'm sewing up my woven Big 5 patterns, I do have to blend between the neckline and the arm side and then out at the bust, waist and the hips, depending on the silhouette of the pattern. And in many cases, I start with a size 14 or in some cases a 16 at the neckline and the shoulder line, blending out to the 18 at the bust and the waist, etc. Now, for some reason, I had looked at the body measurements on the envelope of this pattern and figured that I probably would need to use the size 18 based on the high bust measurements because that is how I typically choose my starting size. Now, I do have a video right here on the channel sharing with you guys how to take your measurements and how to determine which pattern size you should start with. However, the one disclaimer is that that video was focused on woven fabrics only. And as I said, this pattern was designed with knit fabrics in mind. Now, recently I made Simplicity, what is the number? 9756? I'm not sure if that is right, but I did share a video here on the channel reviewing 2 of those makes, and I'll go ahead and pop the link in right here so that you can run on over and check that one out after you finish watching this video. Now, from my experience in sewing that pattern, I decided that I needed to size down at least 1 or 2 sizes for my knit fabrics, depending on how stretchy the fabric was. Now, based on the stretch of this fabric, I figured I could probably get away with sizing down by 1 size. The problem is my envelope started at a size 18 and I needed a size 16. That meant, you guys, I traced off the size 18 and then I graded it down myself to the size 16. And then once I had graded it down to the size 16, I went ahead and made a couple of adjustments. So I ended up removing a 1/4 inch in the length between my shoulder point and my bust point so that the strap portion of the tank top would fit flushly against my own body. I didn't want it too long and then end up with gaping at the arm side and excess fabric at the strap. So I shortened it by a 1/4 inch. I also raised the entire waistline of this tank top by 1/2 inch by shortening it between the bust line and the waistline. I then did a 1/4 inch sway back adjustment only on my back bodice piece and a 1/2 inch sloping shoulder adjustment because you already know that your girl has terrible posture and therefore sloping shoulders. Now I went ahead and did one additional adjustment, you guys. I made my usual 1/2 inch full bust adjustment. I know, I can hear some of you already saying, oh, but it's a knit pattern. Why did you go ahead and do that? Well, if you've been here long enough, then you already know that I'm pretty obsessed with fit adjustments. I like to go ahead and make fit adjustments because at the end of the day, I want my garment to reflect my own body measurements and proportions. And so I take the time and time again to do some fit adjustments. Now, even though this is a knit fabric and obviously because of the stretch, it will stretch to accommodate my boobs. And truth be told, I am only 1 cup size larger than what this pattern was drafted for. It was drafted for a B cup, as are most of the big 5 patterns, unless they say otherwise. And I am a sewing C cup, but still, even that inch difference in my view can have a big impact on the finished look of your garment. Now, from previous experiences, when you do not do a full bust adjustment but you have a larger cup size, the arm side is also affected, and that often means that you get a gaping at the arm side, which many people mistake for having too much length in the arm side. It is not. It is the fact that your bust is actually trying to borrow fabric from the areas around it and end up pulling the fabric from the arm side, therefore leading to a gape at your arm side. So if you didn't know that before, you know that now. And in this tank pattern, I did not want to risk my tank having that ugly gape. It doesn't matter if you get that gape, how much you take it in at your side seam, you will not be able to get rid of it. In fact, you might even make it worse because there's less fabric in effect for your boobs to borrow from, and so the gaping even just becomes more pronounced, in my opinion. I didn't want that, particularly for this type of garment that is meant to sit flush around the arm side, and so you bet your bottom dollar that your girl went ahead and did the full bust adjustment even on this knit tank. And I'm not sorry. I love how my tank came out, you guys. I'm so proud of how it looks in terms of the fit and in terms of the construction. I'm still trying to get used to like the tension settings and the stitch length that I should utilize when I'm sewing up using knit fabrics, but I'm really happy with it, how this one turned out. I don't see any like wavy seams. I don't see that I have stretched out my neck bands or my arm bands, and so once again, I really am proud of this make. Now, I did construct the pattern, both my tank and my skirt, using my sewing machine because there is a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I did go back in with my serger just to clean up the inside edges. Now, you do not need to clean up edges on knit fabrics because they do not fray, but I feel like they look so much more professional and so much more complete with the serged edges. So I went back in and did that, and then I did my top stitching along the arm side and around the neckline. And again, I'm so happy that I did not inadvertently like stretch out any of my neck bands or have any like wavy seams or anything like that. So well done, Kris, on this tank pattern. Now, if you agree, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Now, in terms of the skirt, I started with the size 18. I checked the finished garment measurements, and I think the finished garment measurements for the size 18 were about 43.5 inches or thereabout at the hip line. Now, I knew based on the fit that I had in mind that that would give me too much ease around my hip line. Now, my hips are 42 inches, and if I were working with woven fabrics, then a 43.5 inch finished measurement for my hip line would have been perfectly fine. But again, this is a stretch fabric, and I wanted it to fit nicely to my hips without being too baggy and without being too tight. So I knew I wanted to take off 2 inches from the entire circumference of my hip measurement. To do that, I folded out a 1/2 inch right down the way my center line, and that had the effect of reducing the front skirt by 1 inch at the hip line, and the same thing on the back. It would reduce the back skirt by 1 inch at the hip line, and that would reduce 2 inches in total. I'm really happy with the amount of ease now left in my pattern. I love how my skirt looks on. It is not suffocating me, but it is not loose and baggy either. I think it floats nicely over my rectangular body shape, and in fact I think it even sort of accentuates the little bit of curvature that I do have. So I'm really pleased with what I decided to do in terms of my waistline measurements. Now, this skirt has an elastic waistline. It does have a 1 inch elastic at the waistline, and when I put my elastic in, I simply threaded it through the casing, tried my skirt on, clipped off the elastic and sewed it up. So I have no clue what the length of my elastic was, but that is what I do usually when I have casings. I don't use the elastic guidelines even when they come in my patterns. I just like to try my garment on with the elastic in, and once I find a comfortable fit, I cut and stitch my elastic at whatever that length turned out to be. So that is exactly what I did for my skirt. Now this skirt is a midi length, as I said before, and typically I don't gravitate to midi lengths. I think they're sort of an awkward length on me usually, but for some reason in this skirt pattern I decided to leave it as is, and I love how it looks. It might just be because of the side slit. This skirt has a nice thigh-high side split, which allows a girl to show a little bit of leg, and it means that I'm not feeling very restricted down my legs, and I like that I'm able to flash a little bit of leg. I feel like at this length, I often kind of feel matronly, but I definitely don't feel that way with this skirt, and I think it is because of that split. Alright, so let's talk about my fabric choice. I chose this black and white fabric predominantly because Black Sewing Network is celebrating 2 years, and they had 2 challenges running over on Instagram. One of the challenges required you to sew something in black and white fabric from a black designer. Now, me and my dumb self went ahead and chose a pattern by Mimi G. She is Latina, but I figured that since she's not white, she is a person of color, that I would be able to get away with sewing up her pattern. Now, one of my girls pinched me and told me that Mimi G patterns don't count, but I had already started working on this project, and so I wanted to follow through with it. So that is why I chose this black and white fabric, apart from the fact that I do love black and white fabric, and I loved this fabric. I actually picked up this fabric in Barbados on a fabric haul earlier this year. I went to Barbados twice this year, and even though I was on a mission, I still found just a little bit of time to go to the fabric store, and I shared both of those hauls here on the channel. I'll pop them here on the screen here and probably here, so that if you like looking at gorgeous fabric, you can run ahead and see all of the other goodies that I picked up along with this baby right here. I loved this fabric at first sight. I am sort of obsessed with animal prints, and this fabric almost gave me a animal print, sort of abstract print type of vibe, like a combination of the two, and I loved it. And when I walked up to it in the store and felt it and discovered that it was a knit fabric, I was a little bit disappointed. I was praying and hoping to the sewing gods that it was something like a rayon, which I like working with, but even though it was a knit fabric, you guys, I just had to have it. I had to have it. I had very little experience sewing knit fabrics. I had very little interest in sewing knit fabrics when I bought this fabric, but I had to have it, and I am not sorry. I'm glad I picked it up, and I'm super glad and super proud of myself for challenging myself to work with some knit fabrics. I'm getting better, even though I only have a few knit projects under my belt, and I'm actually liking how fast they are. Now, I hear lots of people saying knit fabrics are easier to fit. I don't necessarily agree with that. I still take the time to do my fitting adjustments, as I have already gone through. So it really makes no difference to me in terms of fit, whether I'm using a knit fabric or woven fabric, because I'm going to do the work anyway. But that being said, I guess because there is stretch of the fabric, if I don't get it quite right, then maybe the fabric sort of just helps to compensate for it. But the downside to working with knit fabrics is that they can be very temperamental. If you stretch them out, then you end up with wavy seams and all that thing. So I don't necessarily agree that knit fabrics are easier to sew, but I do enjoy challenging myself, and I have enjoyed discovering more and more about knit fabrics on this sewing journey. Now, I have not made view A of this pattern, which is the cardigan. I do have a little bit of fabric left back, but not enough for me to be able to make up this cardigan. And I am a little bit disappointed, because I think that a cardigan in this fabric would have been fire. I probably would not have worn it all together like with this set. I probably would have worn it separately to work or whatnot, but I just don't have enough fabric, and so whatever I have left over, maybe I'll be able to get maybe a swimsuit out of it, or maybe part of a swimsuit out of it, but for now I'm just going to put it back into my stash until something else jumps out at me. But I am really happy with view B and view C that I chose to sew up. So in terms of rating this pattern and the finished garment, I would give this one a 10 out of 10 because I love it. I love how it came together. I love how it fit me now that I did my fit adjustments. I feel like I can mix and match my tank top with other pieces. I can mix and match the skirt with other pieces, or I can wear them as a set, and I do already have a couple of styling options in mind. Now at the time of recording, I have not yet taken any photographs. I will go ahead and just do a quick twirl and then pop it here on the screen. If by the time I share this video, I have managed to get some photographs, then I'll go ahead and pop some of those here in on the screen. If not, then I would definitely encourage you to run on over to Instagram and follow me over there so that you can see all of the pictures and all of the twirls, and a lot of the background sewing that I do goes up on my Instagram stories. So if you like that sort of thing, you like more frequent updates, then I would definitely encourage you to follow me over on Instagram. Now you guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Drop me some comments and let me know down below what you think of my outfit. Would you wear this outfit? How would you consider styling it? Did you buy this pattern? Will you buy this pattern? Let's have all of the conversation down below in the comment section. Now, if you have gotten this far and you're not yet a subscriber, then please do consider subscribing on your way out. So you guys, until next time, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep sewing. Peace.